there's never a normal day at Tottenham Football Club, is there? I mean, just as soon as you think they're starting to act like a big club, they're starting to finally push their weight in the Big Six and bring in some top players and start acting quick and backing their manager, some bullshit happens and you gotta feel bad for them, man, to an extent. I mean, what is going on? Look, Nottingham Forest this whole season have went from being everyone's sort of favourite underdog side who, is getting back into European football. They're obviously a sleeping giant, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 European Cups, and they're finally starting to push to return to that level. So everyone kind of liked to see that from Nottingham Forest, and kind of everyone had a soft spot for them. But now they're becoming public enemy number 1 for so many of these teams. For example, Crystal Palace fans probably hate Nottingham Forest because of all the snitching they've been doing to UEFA about Palace's ownership and potentially getting them kicked out of the Europa League, meaning that Nottingham Forest take their place. And now Tottenham. I mean, what are Nottingham Forest doing? Obviously, I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but I'm going to read you what I've got here. But pretty much, in summary, to summarise it all up in short, Morgan Gibbs-White to Tottenham is now seriously in doubt. And look, here is why. So Sky Sports Premier League tweets, breaking, Nottingham Forest consider Morgan Gibbs-White proposed move to Tottenham to be off for now, while they consult their lawyers over potential legal action. What legal action? I mean, this is what Fabrizio Romano said. Nottingham Forest prepare a complaint to the Premier League for Morgan Gibbs-White's move to Tottenham. Forest working on potential legal action as they believe Spurs made a legal approach to the player, as Sky Sports reported. A legal approach. Look, I mean, we all thought the deal was quite spontaneous. It was quite out of nowhere. There was no real build-up, and it was just kind of sudden. I thought what would have happened was Spurs would have contacted Forest and seen like, all right, so what is the asking price? What do you lot want? And then Forest would have been like, nah, we're not giving you any less than the release clause. And then Spurs just paid the release clause. That's what I thought. But now clearly Spurs have just kind of done this deal behind Forest's back, sort of. I mean, I don't know what's going on because this is crazy. I mean, if there had been contact between the clubs, surely this wouldn't have happened. There wouldn't have been this miscommunication and this breach of the rules, which is what Nottingham Forest are complaining about, reportedly. So, yeah, the Morgan Gibbs-White news, or the Morgan Gibbs-White move, is in serious doubt now. And I do feel like now, though, it will sort of have to happen because after this, I mean, Gibbs-White clearly, for it to have been the here we go yesterday, Gibbs-White would have had to agree to signing with Tottenham. So now he is not going to be happy at all with what Forest are doing. They're completely hurting his career potentially here because if he doesn't go Tottenham, he's obviously not going to want to go back to Nottingham Forest after all of this commotion. And, then there's going to be a lot of question marks next year. Does he play? Does he this and that? Would there be another club that comes in for him? Because Tottenham, like I said, it feels like they're starting to move fast. They obviously want to get their signings done quickly. And I feel like if they're sort of having to wait for Forest to get all this legal stuff sorted out for Morgan Gibbs-White, they might just be like, you know what? Keep him, guys. Keep him. We'll move on to our next target. But you got to feel for Morgan Gibbs-White here because he was about to get the move of his career. He's 25. He's entering his prime. He's proven at a high level now, or on a consistent basis for 3 years now, at least, that he can do it in the Premier League at a very high level. He was Nottingham Forest's best player last season, in my opinion. You could say that Chris Wood was better. He had, maybe Chris Wood had a better season, but Morgan Gibbs-White for me is their best player. And this is just awful for him because what does he do now? What can he do? He himself is probably not going to know what's going on. He's going to have to wait for all the legal stuff to happen as well. And poor guy, he just wants to get the move done. So doing a bit more research now on the whole situation, Sky Sports have reported that Forest believed there was a breach in confidentiality around his release clause because Tottenham's bid was pitched at exactly that level. It's not yet clear if Forest are able to block the transfer entirely. However, it is now expected to be delayed as Forest prepare a complaint to the Premier League. Forest have refused to comment on Sky Sports News' information. Spurs did not comment when contacted. This is so weird because what I'm interpreting from this is that Forest had a release clause there for Gibbs-White, which was around 60 million, but it was a secret. They were just hiding it from everyone. And Tottenham somehow, maybe someone told them, there was obviously the breach in confidentiality. So somehow the word got to Spurs that, look, there's a £60 million release clause. And then Spurs bidded exactly that. But what I don't understand is how you can keep a release clause private. Was it not, was it meant to be private? Or I thought the whole point of release clauses was that they were public, but maybe not. I mean, yeah, this is such a weird situation where I think Nottingham Forest are really just doing too much here. I mean, they've lost Elanga, and now they might lose Morgan Gibbs-White. So I do understand you don't want to lose your best players. But guys, really? £60 million is a lot, by the way. I know Gibbs-White's a brilliant player, but they got, what, 45 million for Elanga? That together is over 100 million you can spend on some other really class players. So I don't understand this whole... if anything, you're just... Nottingham Forest are losing out here. Because Morgan Gibbs-White is going to be fuming with this. Of course he's going to be fuming. And that's not going to do Forest any good if they manage to keep him. And if anything, this will make him go for cheaper if he stays, because his value will naturally go down if he doesn't play, or he throws a strop and goes on bad form. So I don't understand what Forest are trying to achieve. If they're trying to get more money out of Spurs, if they're trying to sue someone for obviously the breach in confidentiality, but I don't understand. I don't get this. This really was a shock. I mean, I didn't expect this at all. Yesterday I was just giving Spurs some praise for getting moves done quickly and big moves. And I was saying how this is going to improve their team a lot, and they're going to potentially challenge for Europe next season, like with the big boys. But, they never have a normal day there at all. There's always something going on. And yeah, it just reminds you they're just a tin pot club. That joking. I do feel a little bit bad for them, because, I mean, obviously we don't know the details of this yet. So we don't know who was really in the wrong, if Spurs really did breach something serious. But this to me just feels like, if the release clause was there and they paid it, what's the fuss all about, bro? What's the fuss all about? Who cares if some guy who works in the Nottingham Forest, as a janitor, and he just overheard directors talking about some release clause that was meant to be a secret. He's like, "Oh, Spurs, I'll give you this information for £1." It's not that deep. I mean, I need to understand more of this before I properly comment, but that's my just initial thoughts on this. And I'm not even a Tottenham fan. I don't even want Gibbs-White to go to Tottenham, because I don't want Tottenham to have that kind of quality. But purely just speaking out my neutral opinion and, removing all biases, this is so weird. And I do think Morgan Gibbs-White will end up going to Tottenham this summer. I think this is just delaying the inevitable. And I mean, I think this is, if anything, just slowing both clubs down. It's not doing, and Gibbs-White as well, it's not doing anyone any favours. And this just makes Nottingham Forest look like a really tough club to deal with. I mean, like I said, Nottingham Forest's reputation has taken a hit this season. Like the two things I already mentioned, with the whole Crystal Palace snitching situation, now this, also the owner having a go at Espirito Santo on the pitch and banning Gary Neville. They're just getting in some, unnecessary beef with everyone, bro. I don't understand what's going on here with Nottingham Forest. But yeah, look, they missed out on Champions League, and clearly that's rattled them, differently. But yeah, that's what I'm going to comment on right now on the Gibbs-White news, because there's not much else out. It's still quite raw news. So I'll be bringing you updates when they come, if they're, major, and if they're, worth covering. But yeah, for, other news today, obviously yesterday Madueke got the here we go. As a Chelsea fan, I had said before in previous videos, I didn't want him to leave. I'm still a bit sad to see him go, but I'm sad and happy for different reasons. So I'm sad because I thought Madueke was a great guy to have in the dressing room, a great guy to have in the media. He was fun to listen to, and it's fun to have a player like that at your club. He makes you, feel closer to the players. He makes it feel like the players are more like us. And he just adds that kind of level of relatability to the squad. And I really value that in him. And he was also a decent little player on his day, man. He was. And I do think he still had potential. And yes, he wasn't growing or developing at the level that we would have liked him to. That's obvious. I actually think he regressed this season compared to the season before. That might be a hot take, but I think he had a better season in 23-24 under Poch than this season. But still, I would have liked to keep him, man, even if it's for depth. But the reason why I'm happy he's gone is because, firstly, if you're negotiating with Arsenal, our club rivals, our arch nemesis, during the tournament that you're playing in, the Club World Cup, and reports coming out that you want to go badly, and you, not even that, you're not even considering any other options. It's just Arsenal, because that's what it was. He wasn't considering anyone else. No Newcastle, no nothing. It was just Arsenal who he was considering. That to me is like, bro. And here we go. So you agree the deal, you agree the personal terms before a final. I don't want to see him play in the final. I don't want to see him play in the final at all, even if we're losing, which we probably will be at some point. But I don't want to see him come on. Not at all. And look, this is a guy who I actually think our fans have been quite kind with him. The other reason why I'm happy to see him go, by the way, is because of the fee. 50 plus million. I mean, it's another one of them ones where it's just Arsenal just keep on funding us. They love us secretly. It's like Arsenal are the cucks of the Premier League. They like to make themselves worse whilst making us better. Like, I know they've outperformed us in recent years, but every time they do business with us, they're funding our moves to improve our squad, and they're just funding their own squad's demise. Like, I don't even have to list all the names. They've already been listed off many times, but you know who they've signed from us. But yeah, man, Madueke is a guy who I actually thought our fans were being quite kind of. I don't even think it's a case of him leaving because he feels like the club is turning their back on him and this and that. He was getting good minutes this season. He was our starting winger for pretty much the whole season. He was like the first name on the team sheet in terms of the wingers. I think he played more consistently than Neto, Sancho, and Tariq George, and Mudryk, obviously, in terms of minutes and starts. And I think our fans were quite patient with him. He got 2 goal contributions in 2025, which were both tap-ins. One of them he stole off Chalobah. It would have gone in anyway. So for that output, and also he was playing quite frustratingly in 2025 as well. So for that output, I don't think there was nearly that much abuse. I'm not saying nearly enough. I don't think anyone deserves abuse. But you know how football fans get. The guy wasn't getting much of that at all. I'm not saying there was none of it. But we've seen players like Morata, like Werner, like Lukaku, like Havertz, like even Mount. Guys were getting crucified, bro. Madueke wasn't getting crucified. There were certain guys saying, "Oh, Madueke has to go," or "sell." But no one was. No, I didn't see a large consensus around a negative consensus around Madueke for last season, to be honest. And I think before he started begging for the move to Arsenal, I didn't see many people begging for him to be sold. I'm just editing the video and I realised that I forgot to mention something now, so I'm just going to mention it here. But we Chelsea fans were being kind on the guy. We wanted him to stay. We were supporting him through his bad performances. And Arsenal fans, as soon as they're linked with him, start sending him DMs of abuse, telling him not to go to Arsenal. Start starting up petitions which get thousands of signatures to stop Madueke from going to Arsenal. They don't want you, bro. It's a one-sided relationship. They do not want you. And now the thing is, Chelsea fans hate him. Arsenal fans don't even rate him. He's got a lot to prove next season, so be careful. I'm not writing him off. I said he's a good player, but he is going to have to perform next season. He's going to have to. And he doesn't have to have a world-class season. If he has a season like Havertz did in his first year at Arsenal, I think that should be enough to kind of turn Arsenal fans on his side. Because, you remember how hated Kai Havertz was by Arsenal fans at the start. But then he started scoring goals and they started getting on his side. Madueke has to do that. But I don't know if he will. But there's a lot of pressure on him. And it's just another reason as to why I'm confused why he's done this. Because Chelsea fans were showing him love. Arsenal fans are giving him abuse before he signed. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does, man. But obviously, I never condone the abuse. But it's just weird to me as to why both parties, why Arsenal signed him and why Madueke is going. And he wants to go so badly. But yeah, man, I wish him the worst. Yeah, alright, back to editing. So it's so weird. It's so weird. It does hurt. It's like, why you want to go to our rivals so badly when we just won a trophy, finished top 4, and are in the final of another competition? It's just weird. Like, what are you even going to do there? You're not going to start above Saka, so that means you're going to have to play on the left, compete with Martinelli. Martinelli's better than Madueke. He is. Martinelli's a better footballer than Madueke. Maybe Madueke's got more potential, but Martinelli's a better footballer. And Arsenal fans will learn that. I'm confident. I predicted that Madueke would go to Arsenal, by the way, when it first started coming out. Because as soon as I heard, I didn't even have to hear that Madueke was prioritising Arsenal or only wanted to join Arsenal. It was when I heard Madueke was open to going to Arsenal. Then that's when I was like, yeah, that's it. It's done. Because, Chelsea has always been a club where if you're not happy here, we're going to sell you, especially on the top bowlie. It's like you could get sold anyway. Even if you're delighted it, you'll get sold. Maresca even came out and said, if players want to go, they can go. And as soon as I heard that, it was similar to the Havertz deal, where we were open on keeping Havertz, but then Havertz started begging for the move to Arsenal. And then it was like, we're not going to stop Havertz from going to Arsenal for 60 million, almost making our money back on a player who, frankly, is not very good. and doesn't know where he plays in the football pitch. So this is just so odd to me, this whole thing. So yeah, that's all the news that has come out today. The Gyökeres deal with Arsenal's not really advancing much, but that will probably start developing now that they've got the Madueke deal done. Rodrigo, there's not many updates on him, although he's probably going to leave now. I hope Chelsea move for him. Osimhen to Galatasaray is looking likely now. I don't know where Galatasaray have gotten 70 million from, but fair play to them. That's a player. And then, yeah, well, I'll keep you updated with this Gibbs-White stuff. I mean, at least they got Kudus. They've got Kudus across the line. Tottenham maybe Tim Pop, but they got Kudus across the line. That might be where they peak, though. I can't lie. That might be where they peak because, yeah, if they can't get Gibbs-White across the line, it's going to be a long, long summer for them because Gibbs-White, for me, is probably the best option for them. You know, a realistic option for them. So, yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Tomorrow, I'll probably be making a preview for the Club World Cup final. And then, obviously, on Sunday, we'll be seeing how that transpires. But, yeah, in a bit.